Thank you all for joining me today to talk about data and technology and how it's being used to revolutionize the automotive industry. Exciting topic in Vegas at 8:30, so thank you for joining me. My name is Nate Brown. I am not Kane Grell. I am the Director of Sales Operations and Analytics for TradeRev. Kane is actually the Executive Vice President of Sales and the founder of Driven. If you're not familiar with Driven, Car acquired Driven in 2017, and they're best known for matching buyers to inventory, leveraging data science in real time. So, Kane sends his apologies for not being able to be here today. He tells me that I'm totally prepared, so let's get it started. So a little bit about myself. Been with TradeRev for a year and a half. And before that, I was the vice president of e-commerce in the home services industry. So not what you would say a subject matter expert in automotive, but a lot of similarities in the way that those platforms work. Two-sided transactions, trouble in the middle, arbitrations, things like that. So very familiar with that. So while I don't have Kane's experience there, I do hope that I bring some added value in that way. Kane and I went over the deck at least one time, so we're good there. Going to be great. So with that, let's get started. All right. Quick agenda. We're going to go over why we're here, the evolution of wholesale, and then how that has come about through integration of data and lot optimization. And then at the end, we'll go through a quick Q&A. So data is the new oil. This is a headline in The Economist a few years ago, and really talking about the ability to extract, synthesize, and then deliver data to anyone in any industry and the value that comes with that. So if you think of the value of Google, where does that value come from? Facebook, any high market cap business, that's where that value comes from, is the ability to extract and utilize data. You think about this from the car perspective. Car for the last 3 to 5 years has really honed in on this and invested heavily in this area. So if you look at the acquisition of Driven, for example, as one of those areas that they've focused, they've immense amount of resources, both human capital and capital, into this area, developing data science and analytics. The single goal of that investment is to drive value to our consignors and our dealer partners, really making it easier to make a more informed decision. So what does that look like to the industry? What did it look like 20 years ago? You guys would know way better than I would, but I've got a nice graphic. So this is kind of a easy visual for you of the industry. Upstream, digital, TradeRev, things like that, physical auctions, dealer to dealer, working with wholesalers. All of these are options in the marketplace. They were options 20 years ago. They just looked a little different. You were on the phone, you were on fax, you were using your Rolodex, different ways to approach those customers. None of those things have gone away. They're all still there. They've just been supplemented with online options, things that move the business upstream. If you think about one of our other car entities, OpenLane's business was 15% upstream 5 years ago. It's now 60% upstream in 5 years. So what does that look like in 5 more? So how does all of that happen? You have to integrate the data. You have to make it usable. You have to make it relevant. How do I get the right inventory? So again, circling back to the acquisition of Driven, really their focus before the acquisition was matching buyers to inventory. And we've been able to leverage that. They have a feed that comes in, 3.5 million vehicles a day in the market that are potential hits for a buyer. And they're analyzing that quickly in real time and delivering options on different car websites or through email campaigns. And one of the ways you see this is you think about the data that's coming into CAR as a entity. 90% of digital upstream, sorry, one second. Upstream closed. Sorry, I want to be accurate on that. 90% of market share in upstream closed. 250 ADESA or IA auctions, and 3.5 million feed into the CAR network. 100 million, that's right, just want to make sure. 100 million transports a year through the CAR network. 100 million CRs. All of this is generating data that's all being leveraged together. And then you have TradeRev, which has 10 years of transactional data to analyze. So you bring all that together. Once you have all that, what do you do with it? It's a good question. So one of the ways, this is just an example of one of the ways that CAR has been able to leverage that data is recommendations both on websites and through emails. So to the left there, one of the ways we're looking at it is the price. Is it a great value? How do we know that? Analyzing that data in real time, going through a data science process. Undersupplied market. So is there market demand for this inventory? Moves fast through your lot. That's important to you. You need to get cars in, cars out. That's gives you that profit margin. And then vehicles that may be difficult to locate. So everybody has those pain points trying to find that right piece of inventory for the buyer that they know they have. So these are all things that we're evaluating on the back end and providing that in real time on the front end. And we know it works. We've been doing this now for a little over a year. We've gotten huge lift in several areas. So 44% open rate on the email. Those emails are targeted, so it is for inventory in your area, and it's for cars that fit the mold based on the data that we've evaluated for you. 160% increase in purchase efficiency. What does that mean in terms of your time? That purchase efficiency is you bidding on cars that maybe don't fit you or bidding on cars that you don't win. So giving you that time back. And then two metrics that we look at in terms of our customer experience that we're delivering is how likely are you to come back and how likely are you to stick. Those are very important things to us. And so we evaluate those, and we've seen lift in both of those areas, which to us are good indicators that we're doing the right thing for the customer. And Dealership X, so I'll talk about Dealership X for the rest of the presentation here. This is a specific use case of a dealership that we worked with through this program. So starting with the email campaigns and the recommendation tool on different car websites, 485% increase in their purchase activity through the CAR network. That's a huge lift for them, and they found huge efficiency there. So this is another way. So I showed you the email campaign. This would be another way where you would see that come in to, this is IAA. You would see, here are my recommended trades. What does that mean? You know, when I get on Amazon and I see things that are recommended for me, they're digesting my data. They're analyzing me. You providing your data are able to analyze what fits your lot, what are your needs. That slide's not supposed to be there. All right. So all of that, what is the goal? It's to optimize your lot. It's to move inventory that will land on profitability quickly through your lot. It's the right vehicle at the right time. So to do this, and kind of circling back to, how does the email generate? How do we surface all of that data on a trade that we think you'd be interested in? We're looking at 4 key factors. So high volume units, high velocity units, units that are going to move quickly. High target spread, so vehicles that have potential for margin. And then minimal price drops. So you don't want to get into a car and then next thing you know the market changes on you. So evaluating that, making sure that we've de-risked the transaction as much as we possibly can on the front end. So and then we look at those 4 characteristics and we categorize the car based on that. So a Super A would be all 4. That's a high potential trade for you. 3 checks would be an A, 2 would be a B, and 1 would be a C. Obviously, you're going to look for inventory that fits you as closely in that Super A category. So a couple of things that we typically exclude or look to neutralize would be if there's limited volume, so we don't want to surface something that we don't have enough data to really truly analyze. And then vehicles that have poor historical performance, we're just going to move those out of that recommended trades. And then every day we compare that to current inventory levels at ADESA so that you can go target those specific cars. And then they get recommended, as I showed you before, on the platform in one of many areas, either email or sidebar. You guys have probably all seen it. All right, so what does that look like when we're evaluating the inventory that might fit you? So one of the ways we're doing this is financial performance versus how quickly it turns. So taking 2 of those metrics and layering them together. So average days to turn versus your initial price versus what you could move it at retail. And so if you look, the Kia Optima looks like a good option. The Chevy Malibu looks like a good option. Now can I buy those? Do they exist in the marketplace? So that's the next phase of this is we'd turn and we'd look at an ADESA within X number of miles, whatever fits your dealership. And you can see the Optima is there as we've got 20 of those available. And this is the price that they're available for a buy now. Same with the Malibu. We've got a ton of those. We're sitting there at 13.5. Does that fit? Is that something I'm looking for? So back to Dealer X. So in this instance, Dealer X is a 19 rooftop group that is using this tool. So you can see one way to look at it is what's out on the market. What is a Super A? What do I want to go get? But what do I already have? So evaluating their lots individually, we can go through and say, this is how many Super A's you have on your lot right now. This is how much inventory that's not a fit or that there's probably not margin in that you probably want to unload as quickly as you can to get in something that you can get to profitability. All right. And then another way to look at that is brand versus market. So this particular dealer group, they're selling a lot of Chevys, they're selling a lot of Fords. That might be their target market, that might be how they're branding themselves. But if they are more brand agnostic and would buy across the spectrum, we might want to look at Toyota and say, the market's bigger here than what you're actually stocking, what you're selling. Is there an opportunity there? And they may say, no, that's not something we're interested in, or it might be an interesting point to them to go chase that inventory. All right. And then another way, this is a really interesting part of this case study that we've done. So another way to look at it is just roll up the data of all the trades that came through the Southeast and looking at how many Super A's and A's are available in the market. And with this Dealer X, we actually signed an agreement that rather than running those cars, we'll just deliver them to you at a predetermined price. And we've delivered over 800 cars to this dealer group, and they have an agreement that they can return the car within 20 days. And so far, just based on that matching, 10 of those cars have come back for some random reason or another. But that's the experience that they've had with this tool being implemented in real time for their dealership. So to put a bow on it, this is really one good example of how massive amounts of data can be surfaced to a customer, but it doesn't feel like it. It's user-friendly. Everybody has that Uber expectation, and that's what CAR is working towards on many of these tools that you see on our sites or emails. That's the end goal, is to give you an Uber solution that allows you to stay in your dealership, spend less time, win more cars, win the right cars at the right time.